this. I'm feeling good. No. All right, you guys. My first guest proves that you can do it all. Now, just to let you in on something. Actually, this is really fun for me, and I'm going to enjoy this. But a few weeks ago, we were in Las Vegas, and Tommy Tune was one of the guests, and he was telling me backstage that of all the people that he's worked with, really there's only one other person that he feels is as talented as my first guest, and he said Dean Martin. And I thought that was really, really sweet of Tommy to say that. Now, this person is the author of a new book, and the book is about being a teen idol, a father, and a businessman. And honestly, I give this person a bad time, but I have to say that in my career, and I've been in this business 30 years, that I have worked with some of the most talented men in the business in all different areas, singing, dancing, acting. And all of those areas, I would say this person has them all combined. And anybody that I've ever worked with, nobody has as much talent as this man has. Finger. He's one of my favorite people, and he is also my brother. Please welcome to my show, Mr. Purple Socks himself, Donny Osmond.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
May I sit in my seat?
You sit there and I'll tell you. Get your body part right there.
I am in the hot seat. This is so weird. This is really weird.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to have to calm down because I have a lot of things to get to, first of all.
I'm a guest on my show. I love it.
No, you're not. You're a guest on my show.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Fair enough.
I read your book. Actually, I have to tell you, it was really interesting doing prep. And all I can say is I'm really sorry I caused you so much pain. Now, first of all, you read a book like this, and it's called Donny Osmond, Life is Just What You Make It.
Yes.
I had so much fun, seriously.
Did you really enjoy
honestly, it's interesting because you grew up in the same house with somebody. A lot of things I didn't realize. Why would you choose, though? Because, a lot of people would say autobiography, you're very young. Most people do autobiographies as they get towards, the close, retirement, things like that. Why now in your life?
Well, that's interesting because I was in New York meeting with my editor, Will Schwabe. He was interested in doing a bunch of children's books because I had...
With you?
With me. And so we started talking. And he said, well, tell me about your life. So I started telling stories about what I've been through. And he said, that's the book we got to write. Because he was surprised at the amount of experiences that were so unusual that I've been through.
Well, you're very young. You're 40, 41.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you've been in the business how many years? See, I can do this. I know his age.
36 years.
36 years.
But, it wasn't until I mentioned to him about my social phobia, which is the thing that he said, that's what we got to talk about. That's the kicker of this book, because, I've been in the business 36 years, as you said, and you would think, starting out at such a young age, in front of people since I was 5 years old, the last person that would have social phobia is me. But it got to a point, Marie, when I was in front of an audience, and this happened back 1995, when I was doing Joseph.
Mm-hmm. An amazing technical.
And when I was doing Joseph, I would get in front of an audience and freeze. And I would just...
Was that pain? Was that just
Oh,
painful?
Marie, it was the worst point in my life because you feel like you're going to die.
When you say social phobia, to just put it in real layman's terms, is that what you mean? You just feel like you're trapped? You can't...
Well, it's very interesting because one particular incident that I'm thinking about, I was in Minneapolis, and I heard, how you've done theater, 1.5 hour to showtime, and as soon as I heard that, my heart started palpitating. And then they announced 15 minutes to showtime. I start sweating. And you start putting the makeup on and everything. 5 minutes to showtime, I started shaking uncontrollably. But what was really interesting is that when Diane Woodrow, our manager, comes in and says, Donny, you can't go on stage like this. As soon as she said that, I was fine. And I said, I can do this. This isn't a problem. And as soon as I said that, I was terrible again. It's the worst debilitating thing.
Well, and the book deals with this, and it talks about how you overcame it, and I think it's really fascinating and things.
Very
but
difficult.
one of the things that you talked about, too, that I thought was really interesting from my point of view, and I think other people would find, is it says that life was tough for you. Here's Donny Osmond, major superstar. I mean, since you were a kid, since 10 years old, you know, your life was tough. You didn't do drugs. You didn't go to jail. You didn't. How was your life tough?
You'd think loneliness would be the last thing, but it was isolation. You know, you think of all the thousands of girls screaming, and I loved every second of that. I got to be honest. I loved girls screaming at me. There were times, you guys, there were times, like in England, when girls would come up and start ripping my shirt off. I savored every moment of that.
You talked about fans and screaming and all this stuff. You said, I admit, often daydreaming about what it would have been like to have been trapped under all those girls.
I think every guy wonders that. You know what I'm saying? But it never happened.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But I tried.
You know what? There's so many things I want to talk about. We're going to have to go to commercial, and we'll be back, and we're going to have more with Donny after this, and more fun opinions. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
I love this.
Find out what it's like to be married to Donny. Debbie Osmond joins us next.
We're back. This is me. We've been talking to Donny Osmond about his new book, Life is Just What You Make It, which is a great title. Our brothers wrote that song. I love the title of it. That's right.
That's not where it came from, but I just love the title. Because it is exactly what you make it. You know?
Now, this is really fun because not every show will ever have this opportunity. Okay. But I made a phone call, and somebody's going to come out now that never does television and never talks about anything. Would you please welcome Donny Osmond's wife, Debbie Osmond.
You're sitting
here.
Sit down.
Sit down. I'm sitting down.
I just want to know what it feels like being in the hot seat.
Oh, it feels really good. It feels really good. You know, this is a first. This is the first time you and I have been on television.
Well, you know what? The thing is you did television when you were first married.
Yeah. But not in this capacity.
Just a few. But I mean, as far as like really talking to you about what it's like, you know, to be Donny's wife. First of all, what do you think of the book, Deb?
I love the book.
Why do you love it?
You know, you're going to see a different Donny after you read this book because he shares his heart and soul in this book. And I'm really surprised how open you are about your feelings and about your life. But it's a wonderful book.
When you say you're surprised, how do you mean surprised?
Well, that's hard. That's hard to do that, especially with a social phobia. To be able to open up and share your feelings and what you went through as a child and what he's been through in his life.
I watched from another perspective as well. You went through a lot of difficult times. You know, when you married Donny, there were articles coming out like she married him for his money. I'll give it six weeks.
What, the money or the marriage?
And the other thing, they were saying things about, you know, fans were boycotting concerts because you married him. They were burning his records because they were having
that one.
They were having record burning.
contests.
Well, this is it's all in here. How did that make you feel?
It was hard because at the time, I mean, I was a 19-year-old, kind of naive little girl from Utah, you know, and it was hard for me. And I remember one night, I was upset because they had said something about me in an article, and I knew that I couldn't do anything about it, you know?
Not him, but you mean the tabloids?
Yes, the tabloids. And Donny said, Debbie, you have to build a shell. You know what our relationship's all about, and that's the most important thing. And so from that day on, I was able to just release that and say, you know, I know why I married him. I know what kind of relationship we have. And so it doesn't bother me anymore.
Now,
See, the best thing that ever happened to me was marrying her because she really brought out my feelings.
I want to read something from the book.